Hola, bienvenidos a Lightspeed Spanish. Today I'm going to share with you 4 reasons why your Spanish and mine might sound a bit weird to native speakers. Hablamos de todo en la segunda parte. Ojalá tuviera yo un español más decente. So every now and again somebody says to me, your Spanish sounds a bit weird, right? And there tend to be native speakers saying that. Have you had that? Well, let me share with you 4 reasons why perhaps that might be happening. Razón número 1. Very often we have a lack in our vocabulary, and the lack is what we would call filler words. Words that Spanish native speakers use all of the time when they're in conversation, and these are like little words that bridge gaps. We don't have them very often, and so what we do is we have to say just what we want to say, and there's no flow. You know, we've got these little connector words that sort of join everything up, and when we don't have them, our Spanish sounds a little bit dry, I suppose. Let me give you some examples of these little filler words when you're chatting to somebody and they say something and you say, vaya, vaya, well, goodness gracious me. Or they say something and you say, ya, ya. Already doesn't translate. That means I agree with you. I see what you're saying. Native speakers start sentences with words that mean nothing, like, bueno pues, well then. Doesn't really mean anything, but it helps you to kickstart your sentence. Things like así que, por lo tanto, all of those kind of words that just help some, especially when somebody's talking to you and you're going, yeah, vale, vale, ya, ya, vale, vale, ya, ya. They then feel that they're talking to somebody who truly understands them, rather than us, as I've done many times, just going, sí, sí, sí. Native speakers don't do that. They use lots of other words. Pues nada. Pues nada means I'm coming to the end of this particular conversation argument. Y ahora, razón número 2. Native speakers think that we speak weirdly for another reason, which is our pronunciation. All right, now I'm not talking about the fact that we struggle with the Spanish pronunciation. Certainly for English speakers, Spanish pronunciation is very strong. It's tough to manage, especially the R and the J and the GE and the GI. It's tough. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the way that we speak. I'll give you an example. My mother-in-law used to say, Gordon, tú hablas español muy bien, ¿eh? Muy bien. Qué bien hablas. Qué bien pronuncias. And it was true. And what she was saying indirectly is, your Spanish is nice, it's just a bit weird. And it's weird because Spanish people do not pronounce formally the way that we are taught to pronounce when we're studying it. They cut corners, they chop bits off words, they don't pronounce things properly, just like we don't in English when we say, I'm going to. Well, we don't say that, do we? We say, I'm gonna, okay, or I'm gonu, as I was told to me, why do you say gonu? And I said, what are you talking about? I do not say gonu. And then I said it, and they said, there you are, you just said it, gonu. Okay, when I put subtitles on my videos, the AI translates my going to as gonna, right? And that's just the way that we speak. Well, Spanish people do exactly the same, and especially with the D. The D suffers dramatically in Spanish. So in Spanish, they would say something like, mira, he hablado con, not he hablado. No, no, no. He hablado con. And it's just for speed, that's all. It's just speed. So they'll drop things off, especially if you go to the south. They drop a lot off. But even here in Madrid, they do drop things off. I remember Cynthia a long time ago in the UK, and she was looking at this. We went to see a shop and it was all boarded up. And she said, "Está totalmente chapao." Chapao. Okay. Now, Cynthia tells me off if I make that ow to ow. She says it sounds like I'm from de pueblo. But the D disappears. Chapao. Okay? We don't do that. We pronounce everything chapado. He hablado con él. And for that reason, my mother-in-law used to say, "You pronounce very well." Just like if in English I was saying, "Well, I am going to talk to him." Okay? Pronouncing very well. But that's not how we speak. Razón número 3. Direct translation. One of the reasons that we, as learners of the Spanish language, sound a bit weird is because we have no choice than to directly translate at the beginning everything that we would want to say in English into Spanish. And of course that works, and of course we are understood. But often that isn't the way that a native speaker would say it. For example, the question, ¿Cuánto tiempo has estado aprendiendo español? Perfect. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all, except that is not the go-to structure that a Spanish person would use here from Spain. They would say, ¿Cuánto tiempo llevas aprendiendo español? ¿Cuánto tiempo llevas? And they use llevar. How long have you been carrying learning Spanish? We would never in a million years know that we should use llevar unless you know it. If you know it, you know it. If you don't know it, you're going to say ¿Cuánto tiempo has estado? Or ¿Cuántos años has estado? And just like necesito. I've seen videos of late saying do not say necesito. Okay? There's nothing wrong with necesito. But very often you will hear a Spanish speaker here from Spain saying me hace falta. To me, it makes lack. You would never, ever, ever choose that as a way of saying it if you didn't know it. You would say, necesito esa cosa. And you wouldn't say, me hace falta esa cosa. So there are some things that either you know or you don't know. And that can make our Spanish sound foreign. Razón número 4. One of the reasons that we sound weird when we're talking very often is because we use too much swearing. Now, you come to Spain and you say to yourself, goodness, it seems that Spanish people swear a lot. And you wouldn't be wrong. No estarías equivocado. En eso tendrías razón. Spanish people use a hell of a lot of swear words, and I'm using a little swear word there, but that is quite light compared to the swear words that Spanish people use. They will use them in general conversation, but that does not give you the carte blanche, la carta blanca, to just use them yourself. There's something about a foreigner using the native language swear words that actually upsets the natives. It upsets, and it happens exactly the same in English when somebody who isn't English speaking naturally then starts to swear a lot. We feel uncomfortable. Why? Why should we not just launch ourselves into using swear words in Spanish because everybody else does? Well, it's an art, and there is a subtle timing to using swear words. There is also a rhythm to it, that you use it in these circumstances but not necessarily these circumstances. You use it in this way and not necessarily in this way. And the other danger with using Spanish swear words is that you might think that that context is absolutely fine to use a swear word, but culturally it's really not. Or you might think that that swear word, I've heard it loads of times, it's okay. And it isn't. We don't know the rhythm. We don't know the music of the language. And so we can be like a bull in a china shop. We can be like a bulldozer without swear words. And so my advice on the swear words is every now and again, you can slip it in. But be careful. Don't try and do it too much. Do not do it at the level that Spanish people do it, just because they won't like it. If you want to make a Spanish person laugh, when they say, ¿Cómo estás? ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? You say, estoy de puta madre. Every time, without fail, Spanish people laugh. I've tried it over 26 years. Spanish people will laugh when you say, estoy de puta madre. They go, oh, estás de puta madre. Qué bien. Beyond that, cuidado, eh? Cuidado, cuidado, cuidado. So what's the solution? What do we do to stop ourselves sounding weird? Well, take it from me, it's not easy. Why? Because we're not Spanish, we never will be. You will never be a native Spanish speaker. And so we will always sound a little bit weird. But as I've said before, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is only this, that a native speaker says to you, I know that you're not Spanish, but where are you from? Which country? That's as best that you're going to get when they don't know where you're from. Fantastic. You have hit the jackpot. It's when this happens and somebody says to you, hola, and you say, hola, and they say to you, ¿de qué parte de Inglaterra eres? Just straight away, you've just said hello, and they say, where are you from in England? Bummer. That's what we've got to avoid. We want them to be confused and go, I know this person isn't Spanish, but where are they from? That's what we're aiming for. And trust me, es un reto, ¿eh? No es fácil, pero sí se puede. Se puede hacer. Bueno chicos, muchas gracias por haber estado conmigo y vamos a seguir con estos consejos sobre el español. Hasta luego, os quiero mucho.